In this lesson, I'm going to show you one way of going through the different items in your list. So we could print each of these out individually by simply just saying print rainbow 0, and then next we can print rainbow 1 and then print rainbow 2 and so on, but that's kind of long. That's just too much work, I think. So let's come up with a different way. The first way I'm going to show you is how to use a for each loop. And the way it works is you say, for the item in my list, do something with that item. Okay, so it kind of looks like that. So we're going to say, for the color in the rainbow, remember rainbow is just this list of different strings. So for the color that I'm on in rainbow, colon, what do I want to do? Well, I'm just going to print the color. So when I run that, you can see it's printed the different colors of the rainbow. It's got a for loop that's just gone through, and so the very first time through, we're like, okay, I'm on the first color, and the first color is red. Print the color red. And remember that after a print statement, it defaults that it goes to a new line character. So it goes to the next line. And then next time through, our for loop, color is orange. Print orange. Next time through, color is yellow. Print yellow. And it goes through the whole list one at a time and prints them to the screen. So this is one very easy way to work our way through this whole list and do something with the item in the list. Now instead of colors, I've got a list of numbers, and I've called my list numbers list. And the numbers I have in my list are 1, 4, 6, 2, 3, 8, 5, 3. They're just very random numbers. And what I want to do is I want to actually add up all of these numbers. Okay, so I could grab a calculator. I could probably do this mentally. But instead what I want to do is I want to use a for each loop. So I can just say for the number I'm on in numbers list. So for the number that I'm on in numbers list, what do I want to do? Well, I want to add it to a total. Okay, so that right away means I'm going to need another variable, right? So I'm going to make another variable called total, and I'm going to set it equal to 0. So for the number that I'm on in my numbers list, I'm going to add that number to total. So total plus equals number. This is the same thing as saying total is what it is plus the number that I'm on. So total is 0. The first time through, it's going to be a 1. So total is 0 plus 1. So now our total is 1. The next number is a 4, so 1 plus 4. And then that plus 6 plus 2, add on the 3, add on the 8, and work our way a whole way through the list. Okay, you can write it out like this. I prefer plus equals number just because it's a lot shorter. And then finally, let's just print out the total at the end of the whole thing to see what these are added up. And when you run it, you can see all of those numbers add up to 32. Now this wouldn't be too hard because there's only about 8 items in here, but what if there were 300? Right? This would be a lot faster of a way of adding up all of those numbers rather than doing it mentally, adding up 300 different numbers together, or even using a calculator. Now this way of accessing the different elements or the different items in our list has one drawback. Okay, so let's say we want to change all of these values into a 0. We want to reset all of the items in our list back to 0. Okay, so this looks like it should work, right? We don't need this total anymore. And we're going to print numbers list. So what this means is for the number that I'm on in my numbers list, set that number equal to 0. It looks like it should work, right? So the first time up it's a 1, well, set it equal to 0. And then I get to a 4, well, set it equal to 0 and work your way through the list. But when I try to run this, you can see my list, after doing all of those numbers, my list hasn't changed at all. Now, I can show you that number is actually 0. So each time I'm going to print number. And you can see number is 0 every time I go through my list. So why isn't this working? Well, what actually happens is when I use a for each loop like this, what happens is number doesn't actually mean this item right here. It actually takes a copy of this. It takes a copy of this and puts it into number. And then we're just working with a copy. So for example, I can show you that number takes on these values, but it isn't actually this box. So if I run this again, you can see number is 1, and then number is 4, and then number is 6, and then number is 2 as I'm going in my for loop. But the only problem is it's just a copy of what was in these boxes. So in box 0 there was a 1. Okay, so number takes on the value of 1. Number isn't actually this box right here. Okay, so once again it's just copies. So the major drawback to a for each loop is that you can't ever use it to change the values of this list. So if you just want to access these values and do something with them, that's fine. A for each loop works great. But to actually get in there and start changing any of these amounts, you can't do that with a for each loop. We're going to have to do that a different way, and that's going to be in the next video.